Welcome to In Her Voice, a podcast created for women who listen to and live by their deepest wisdom, their inner voice. This was made for you, the woman who feels pulled to more, to lead, to create, to dream, and to be a world changer. My name is Kelly Covert, and I am an inner voice coach. Join me here each week as we explore what it means to reach for your inspired potential, all while honoring your worthiness each and every day. Well, hello. This is Kelly, and you are listening to In Her Voice. I'm so glad that you decided to press play because I am going to share something with you today. Well, my guest is that I think you might have never heard of. And you know, I love all kinds of transformational tools, self-care tools, even if it feels like a little woo or it's a little out there, like I'm all for giving things a try. And today I'm interviewing Katie Hess, and we are talking about using flower essences as a transformational tool. I have to be honest with you, I was skeptical. I was skeptical of this. And I encourage you that if you hear my voice and you're like your little skeptic radar has gone on or gone off, maybe, whatever happens, and you're like, I don't know, Kelly, is this one I want to listen to? Trust me, you want to listen to this. You want to listen to this. Let me tell you a little bit about Katie. Katie Hess is a flower alchemist, author of Flower Evolution, and founder of Lotus Way, one of the world's leading floral apothecaries. With her signature elixirs featured in O, the Oprah magazine, the New York Times, and the LA Times, her flower-powered community is thriving in over 15 countries. With 17 years of independent research of flower and plant-based healing, Katie is a pioneer in her field. It's her life's work to intuit which flowers to unearth at the right time to unlock the qualities we most need. So without me saying anything else about it, I want to get right to the interview with Katie talking about flower essences. Katie Hess, welcome to In Her Voice. How are you today?
I'm great. Thank you so much for having me, Kelly.
Oh my gosh, I am super excited. We are talking about this new to me thing. I don't know what to call it, thing that you do, which is working with flower essences as a transformational tool. And I was on your website, blown away. It's not just a website, like it's a whole library of resources. It's a shop. It's all of these things. I mean, I have so many questions, many of which I don't think we'll get to today. But I think the best place to start is, why don't you tell us what exactly is a flower essence? What is this thing, as I so eloquently call it? What is this thing that you do?
Yeah, so in a nutshell, it's been around for thousands of years. And the way that, I think sometimes it helps to know the historical context, the way that it was traditionally taken was that doctors and alchemists, physicians would recommend their patients to go out into the wild and look for special flowers and drink the dewdrops from the tops of the flowers. Because if you look into the science, we see that water, in a way, acts like a recording device, like the shiny backs of the CDs and DVDs, or like the magnetic tape on a cassette player. And every flower on the planet has a really specific benefit for us in terms of mental, emotional, spiritual capacity. And so now, instead of drinking the dew, although that would be nice,
it sounds very romantic, doesn't it? It makes you feel like a fairy or something.
Totally. Unless it's like where you are and it's winter, or I'm in the desert and we don't have dew. So then, right. Luckily, we figured out how to bottle them. So essentially what it comes down to is it's the very subtle electrical essence from a flower, which has the most energy of the plant inside the flower. And then it's stored in water and a little bit of alcohol and honey. And then when you put it in your coffee or water or tea or take it in your mouth, it essentially works through the meridians of your body, sort of like acupuncture without the needles, to get rid of any static and bring you back into your own natural balance.
Okay, so that sounds pretty magical. And I'm going to go straight for the questions that I know all of my cynics who might be listening are wondering. Right? Okay,
I love skeptics.
Okay, and I have to say, I'm in. Like, I'm all in. I love this kind of woo stuff. It makes me so happy. But I know a lot of people are going to be like, okay, hold on. Like electromagnetic resonance of the flower. What? Talk to me about the science of this.
I mean, there's so many different things. I mean, there's so many angles we could look at it from. One is just like, okay, we'll get to science in a second, but let's go to your like felt wisdom experience. If you, Kelly, and the listeners, if you just like close your eyes for a second and you imagine yourself in a field of wild daisies and just notice how that feels. And then change the scene to you are in the garden of the most luscious, fragrant roses ever and how that feels. And then lastly, imagine yourself in this giant, ancient redwood forest and notice how that feels. And then if your eyes are closed, you can open them. So innately as humans, we know that different flowers and botanicals make us feel totally different. It's like we already speak the language of flowers, but how do we speak it? So then when we look at the science, we can look to universities in UK that have shown that bees are actually not attracted to flowers based on color or scent, like we had thought. They're literally speaking the language of flowers in the sense that the flowers are emitting this subtle electrical currency and the bees pick it up and the little hairs on their legs. Is that cute or what?
It's adorable.
And they can actually communicate different things about pollination or, you know, different things in that realm of communication. We also see, for example, in Tokyo, in the medical schools, they've done a ton of research on what we know to be called forest bathing. You know, and we know, right? Like if we spend a few hours in nature, of course we feel better, but there's more than just like the fresh air and the oxygen. What the medical schools in Tokyo are seeing is that when people bathe themselves in the energy of plants and flowers, it literally plummets cortisol levels, so you're less stressed. It increases white blood cells, so your immune system is boosted. And what's even cooler, okay, I know I'm a total plant geek right now, but Mother Nature has this exponential power to it. So if you spend one day in nature, those beneficial effects on your body will last in your body for a week. And if you spend an entire weekend in nature, they'll last in your body for an entire month.
Wow.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah. It is crazy.
So, I mean, you could say, wow, gee, Katie, like that's a bit strange. Flowers have energy. It does sound really woo, but then pick up your cell phone and look at it and like genuinely ask yourself, how on earth does this thing work? Like we never question it because it works. But if someone had told you, imagine you've never seen a cell phone before and someone comes to you and says, okay, Kelly, just trust me. You could put poetry, words, photos, videos, and music, and they're going to ride on these invisible waves through space, and you could reach someone in Thailand in 3 seconds if you want to. Like, wouldn't you be skeptical?
Yeah.
Like, how the heck do these things work, and how does all that information ride on these invisible waves? I still have no idea. I don't understand it. Do you?
No. No. I'm sitting here and I'm thinking back. I mean, I'm old enough to remember what it was like before there were cell phones.
Me too.
And, you know, it's true. It's true. Like I remember even being confused, like when I was a little kid, by how the TV works. Like, how does that work? You know, yeah. And I think it's so interesting that and maybe this is an American thing. I don't know.
It is.
But we're so like we so easily accept technology and the understanding that it's happening, it's working, we pick up our phone, it works, but
Right.
we're like so skeptical of nature. And like you said, which we know we feel better when we go outside and when we soak all of that goodness in. It's just so interesting to me.
Yeah. But, I love skeptics because then I can say, well, just try it. Like, see how you feel. Since there aren't any contraindications, there are no negative side effects. It's basically like eating broccoli. It's so safe and gentle. Even pregnant women can take them. What do you have to lose? And see how you feel without anyone telling you anything, right? And then I think that's the best way. It's always the best when we experience it for ourselves, isn't it?
Yeah. Yes. 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 Ooh, this is so fun. And also, it sounds like it tastes better than broccoli. I mean, like, I'm not a broccoli hater, but it's not my favorite taste in the
It's
world.
kind of like eating little trees.
Yeah. Okay. Well, so
Yeah, it
I
tastes
just want to
better.
ask some clarifying questions for myself, because I came into this conversation and I told you I had never really heard much about flower essences. And so, like, I'm a total newbie here. How are flower essences different from essential oils, which I'm very familiar with?
Yeah, and actually we use both, so we do confuse people. So whereas I like to think, the easiest way I like to think of it is use the part of the plant that you're going to work on yourself. So, for example, if you have a physical issue, a stomach ache, you can't sleep, or you have indigestion, or you want to clean your blood or do a cleanse, then I always turn to the whole body of the plant, so the leaves, the roots, the stem, the flower, everything, and then make a tincture or drink a tea, right? So the body of the plant works on the body of the person. And then the essential oils come in, which I like to think of as the blood or the immune system, right? It's literally like the juice of a plant. And that's working on, for the most part, on our circulatory and immune system, although it does also like feel very sensuous and boost emotions as well when you smell amazing smells. And you typically have to dilute essential oils because they're really strong and you can't put them on your skin, and most people aren't going to want to take them internally. And then you come to flower essences, also known as flower elixirs, flower remedies, and they are typically and traditionally taken internally. They don't have a scent, they don't have a flavor, and it's like the mind of a plant working on our own mind. So in terms of aromatherapy, highly scented, yummy, sensuous experience, and I kind of feel like it's like an immediate pick-me-up. You smell something and you're like, oh God, that's amazing. Whereas flower remedies are more, it's like, whoa, I feel better, or I feel clearer or brighter, or like I can laugh more easily. And to me, there feels like a little bit longer term effect. And then that's just the beginning. You can just dive really deeply with flower essences in a way that I haven't seen with any other modality.
And, I wonder if, like you were talking about the exponential power of being in nature, if there's an exponential power to like a daily use or multiple times a day use of any particular flower essence.
500 million%. You're so right on. It's like, people may come to the world of flower essences because they're like, I just want to sleep better, or I want to feel happier, or, I've been like really irritable lately. And it's just like, just help me feel better, And then what people often discover is, yes, you get the initial, oh, okay, the edge of life is gone. Everything feels softer. I feel more peaceful. I feel more joyful. But then once you're stabilized, the essences have this capacity then, now that you're stabilized, to show you things about yourself that may be in your blind spots. Patterns, right? We all know that we inherit patterns from our family lineage. We get to a certain age and we're like, oh, I sound just like my mom or my dad, right? And there's good and bad, right? What we want to do is have the flower essences help elicit who we really are and quiet down anything in our cellular DNA that's self-limiting or that holds us back.
I love that. So using it as a tool to really access your true self.
Exactly. And be able to make different choices. Like I think we've all been in that situation where, let's say someone we're close to gets triggered by something, and there are times when we get upset where we just feel like it kind of takes over us. It's just like, and we react. What I find with flower essences is it creates a lot more space between us and the reaction, so we can just kind of see it arising inside of ourselves, and we don't need to act it out. It's just like, whoa, that really bothers me. Oh, interesting. And we can just be with it rather than rah. Does that make sense?
Yeah. And I think who would not want that? I mean, if there's someone that's listening who doesn't want that, send me an email, let me know, because I'm curious to talk to you and see what you're doing in your life. Okay, so I'm going to go back to my newbie questions here.
Yeah.
So this feels really powerful to me. And I went on your website, and your company is called Lotus Way, which we're going to talk about what that means in a minute. But there are so many. There's so many elixirs, as you call them, so many things that I could take. I mean, I feel like I look at them and I'm like, yeah, I want all of those things. How do we begin? Like, what is a good place to start?
Well, there's a quiz on the homepage where you just select the flowers you're most attracted to, and 99% of the time that will very easily indicate where to start. I recommend starting with blends of flowers versus individual flowers, so they'll have names like Inner Peace, Infinite Love, Quiet Mind, Radiant Energy, Joy Juice, things we all want. And that will be the easiest way to feel a very visceral, tangible difference in your state of mind within 3 to 5 days. And there are also 3 different levels of blends. So I recommend people start with what we call stabilization. So, just start with like happiness, sleep, peace, energy, inspiration, love. Like, no need to look at anything deeper than just those things. And then from there, maybe the next month you can take it a step deeper and start to look at things, further back in the closet. But just starting with a blend, it's like a bouquet in a bottle, is really uplifting and fun.
Well, and all of those things that you listed under stabilization, I think if I had all of those things, I would feel complete. Yes, that sounds really good to me. So you call yourself an alchemist, and you are creating these blends. And I'm really curious about how much of this for you is sort of like is very precise, and how much of it is very intuitive. So I want to know about the recipes and the how and the magic. When I cook something in the kitchen, I follow the recipe, but like then magic happens in the oven or whatever. So tell me about that special blend, if you will, for yourself when you are approaching creating something.
That's such a cool question. I've never been asked that before. So the precise is the exact number of drops, how the recipe is made, the formulation, whether it's the flower essences or when we add aromatherapy. When you're working with aromatherapy, you could be working with lavender oil from France, and it's totally different from lavender oil from California. So there is a precision around exactly what plant, where it comes from, and the precise recipes. And also just like as a business, very precisely offering our support and service to customers and trying to be as good as we possibly can. The more sort of flowy, wooey, intuitive piece is where it first initially starts is in the collection process. So I travel all over the world looking for special flowers that are most needed by the community that I can reach today. So my intention is always, if I'm going on a collection trip, like it comes out of a very deep place inside of me of wishing to benefit and being able to find precisely which flowers my community most needs now. And so we might be in Iceland or Costa Rica or Idaho, and then I just let myself be led or see what appears or see what animal phenomenon or weather phenomenon sort of point us in the direction of what to collect. And then the other interesting piece is being able to intuitively ascertain which blends come out, like which come out in 2020 and which flowers come out in 2021, and what are the things that we need last year versus this year versus next year. That's all selected intuitively, and I find that to be the easiest because it's just kind of like get my brain out of the way, because there's no, like in 2019 nobody could have told me what was going to happen in 2020, so right, or any of us.
Yeah.
So that's where intuition comes in handy, is just trusting that.
So a sidebar question, because I think this is so fascinating. When you were choosing the blends for 2020, now looking back, knowing the kind of year that 2020 was, what did you see about what your intuition told you?
You know what's really weird is there was a flower essence in our collection that I consider to be one of the strongest ones. And I had it for 10 years, and it literally just sat in the flower library, in the, where I keep all the mother essences, and I never used it. And so every 6 months, let me just say how I'm getting this information. We have a subscription program called the Flower Revolution. Every 6 months, I decide what will come out for the next 6 months. And we select everything. It just makes more sense that, make all the labels and cards and products and get it all lined up. So that's that intuitive, like, wonder what everyone will need. And that's like all the people who, it's a small group, 150 people who are really just like right out there at the edge. And I remember going, oh, weird. July is the Sacred Datura, this one that's been in my closet for 10 years that like I'm almost afraid to give to people, or had been, right? And I was like, I wonder what's going to happen in July. Whoa. And some of the ones before that were for, some pretty intense fear patterns. And I just thought, I guess this year we're going to be purging fear and anger and psychosis and addictive qualities and, like all these really deep, heavy things. But I thought, I'm just going to trust it. We'll just roll with it. And then 2020 came.
Oh, man.
And it all made sense.
Okay, well, now I have to ask, what are the 2021 things?
2021 is about fearlessness, speaking your mind, feeling connected to other people. What else do we have? Not trying to save people or convince people, just saving yourself.
Send me that one. Thank you. I feel like I need that one.
Yeah, from just looking at the flowers, my guess is that this year will not be like last year.
I think it's impossible. I think it's impossible. The optimist in me will not have it. Okay, I want to switch gears a little bit.
Yep.
Because I usually feel like the questions that come up for me are also the questions that my listeners have. So I always indulge them without shame. I want to know how one decides to become a flower essence alchemist. I mean, that is not, like a doctor or a musician, even a musician, which is a little bit more out there. That's what I am, right? Like, that's not something you go to college for. How did you come to this?
Well, I graduated college, and then I was like, now what am I supposed to do? I still am clueless. But I knew that I wanted to find something to help accelerate people reaching their full potential. I just looked around, and it was like, sometimes even in classes, I'll say, okay, raise your hand if you have maxed out your full potential. Like, you are the most bold, fearless, confident, beautiful, elegant, patient, kind person you will ever be. And of course, no one raises their hand because innately we all know that all of us have room for growth constantly. And so I just started traveling and searching and looking for what would be the vehicle that I could tap into to really help people reach their full potential faster. And through a series of coincidences and kind of magical events, I ended up meeting an expert in flower essences from Madrid, Spain. And I thought, whoa, this is wild. Like, not only is there a flower on the planet for any kind of thing, any kind of problem we could make up as a human being. How cool is that? My teacher at the time said, if we could get 3% of the world's population to actively be working with these flower remedies, then it would change the outcome of the future. And
wow. That is a bold statement.
Right? And
yeah,
he wasn't specific about how it would change the future. But I think the part about that inspired me the most was, and I'm sure your listeners would relate, there are moments when we feel like, oh my God, there are so many problems in the world, and how can little old me make a difference? You know, it's like sometimes we feel like we have to have vast amounts of resources or money, or, you know, how can we help? And him, you know, my teacher saying, all we need is 3%. All we need is 3%. And that creates enough ripple effect, enough tipping point that it, you know, it can change the minds and hearts of everyone. And I thought, well, 3% is pretty doable. I mean, I could probably devote the rest of my life. You know, first I've got to go back to the US and make this concept more mainstream. And I've devoted the last 20 years to that. And, you know, I've probably got a few more decades that I can devote the rest of my life to. You know, we're putting a pretty big dent in that 3% of not reaching that goal before I go. And you know what is crazy, Kelly, is a few years ago I stumbled upon some research. It was a 10-year longitudinal study coming out of France. And they actually studied the ripple effect. And they did this cool study where they showed that if you, Kelly, become wildly happy, it has more of a beneficial effect on your friend's friend, right? This is someone that you probably don't even know, than if someone put $5,000 cash in that person's pocket.
Wow.
Isn't that crazy?
Yes. Yes. And at the same time, it excites me about how much impact we can make with very small changes in our own lives.
Exactly.
I mean, that's powerful right there.
I mean, we may have heard, you know, spiritual teachers saying things, or like the Dalai Lama saying things like transform the world from the inside out. And it's like, yeah, okay. But then after you see this and you kind of experience, you know, when you are happy and you see the effect it has on others, and then knowing that it even affects people that you don't even know, it's, I mean, what can't we do then?
Right. Yeah. Yes. Well, and one of my favorite things about this podcast is sitting with people like you. I mean, like that, hey, this is part of my job. How cool is this that I get to spend focused, concentrated time with people who are creating the ripples. And that is super cool to me. And, you know, I want to talk about your company because I feel like this is part of what you're saying, like this bigger desire you have inside of you to reach more people. So you created your company, Lotus Way. And I find it very inspirational. So tell me about Lotus Way. First of all, what does it mean? In, you know, translation, and then what does it mean to you?
So literally the lotus flower is, in the Far East, is a symbol for enlightenment. And if you look at where the lotus grows, it grows in the mud, in the swamps, where it's stinky and dirty and sludgy. And there's even this scientific word called the Lotus effect that, aeronautical engineers have copied, that you cannot, like a speck of dust cannot rest on the petal of the lotus flower, or even on the leaves for that matter. It's just impossible. If you put like a drop of water on a lotus leaf or on a lotus petal, the water starts to look like mercury. Like nothing can stick to it. And so it's always been a symbol of using the everyday sludge, dirt, mud, chaos of life to reach your full potential and access your full wisdom and beauty and full bloom. And then Wei is a Mandarin Chinese word that has a lot of different meanings, but mostly it's like something's happening, like transformative action for the benefit of all. Mm-hmm. So I know that's a lot, but to me, it's about creating a movement that starts with something as vast and ancient and old as Mother Nature, and being able to collect these very beautiful, subtle, magical essences and to create this tremendous wave of love and self-realization and strength, and each human being allowed to accelerate our full bloom.
Oh, so beautiful. Katie, this is just, I am in love. I am in love with your voice, with what you are doing, with your intention. And what I find to be so powerful about it is that as I listen to you, I am recognizing also what impact means, and that it doesn't have to be as big as we think it has to be in order to matter. Just like these, like the essence of the flower is like such a small microscopic part of what the flower is, but it makes such a big difference. I really feel that we all have that power and potential inside of us, and it doesn't have to always be how we expect it to be. Do you know what I'm saying?
Totally. I mean, I think I saw a quote the other day. I think it was Helen Keller, who it was about that the most beautiful things in life can't be seen, or they can't be seen, like they're not tangible, they have to be felt. Mm-hmm. It's like, what does love look like? Like, how do we know the power of love? It's like something that we think is really small and insignificant is actually extremely powerful. Mm-hmm. And I think when we as human beings get how powerful we actually are with just our minds and our perspective and being able to dissolve self-limiting patterns, I think we blow our own minds with what we can do, mm-hmm. that we didn't think we could, that we never in a million years thought we could accomplish.
Mm-hmm. And I think you might have said this, but I think it's worth saying again that the flower essences can really accelerate that.
Yeah, I mean, we don't eat the right things at the right times. We're stressed. We have a lot going on. We have a lot of these invisible waves that we talked about. There's a lot of things in modern day life that create a lot of static. And we all face it. We all get irritable and feel tired. And I think we can use all the help we can get, right?
Yes.
If there's something to speed up, more happiness and fulfillment, why not?
There is no shame in using the tools that are available to you.
Exactly.
Oh, yes. Well, we could preach about that for a really long time too. Katie, okay, so first of all, I did not see the flower quiz when I went to your website, and so I went back while we were talking, and just so people know, if you go when you go to the website, and we'll link to it, it's right on the top left-hand corner. There's a little box that says take our flower quiz. So as soon as we are done here, I'm going to go take the flower quiz. And because also, like, I love a good quiz, and find out which essence I should start with, or which elixir I should start with. But why don't you tell people more about how they can connect with you, how they can learn more, and sort of like sink more into the education that you provide as well?
Yeah, like you said, the website is a huge library of resources. There's so much information, almost too much. That's why we have really good customer service. If you're just like, where do I start? Feel free to write to us. So you can find us on our website, Lotus Way, WEI.com. And we're also on all the social media channels. You can DM us. And then we're coming out with an education program in April, I think. So that's like for folks who really want to take the deep dive. But for now, just like perusing the website, it's kind of like a whole new world. Most people say like, whoa, it just feels like it's a whole new world. And you know what I wanted to mention, Kelly?
Yes.
Because you're so devoted to listening to inner voice. It's funny. We just released a new elixir called Inner Knowing. And it's like turning up the volume on your intuition and your inner voice.
Well, I'm putting that in my cart then. Thank you very much, Katie. Well, and then you also have a book and a podcast, right?
Yes, there's a book called Flower Evolution. It's like choose your own adventure, see what flowers you choose, and then you get to see that mirrored back to you. There's a deck of cards. You can use that as an oracle deck or a diagnosis tool. It's super fun. And yes, I did 3 years of the Flower Launch podcast. We're in a little break right now, and we're sort of redesigning it, but there's so many good, 3 years worth of podcasts that people can explore as well.
Fantastic. Well, we'll put links to all of that goodness in the show notes and also in the podcast app. So hopefully whatever podcast app you're listening to, you can click right on over to all of the goodness and put the inner knowing into your cart. So then you can get it shipped to your house and put it in your mouth. So speaking of inner knowing, Katie, what does your inner voice say to you right now?
It's so funny. Well, I'll share this. I think the message is for me, but it's popping up, so it's probably for everybody else too. Is just keep doing what you're doing. It's enough. There's no, you have to work harder, you have to strive more. It's like just you doing what you're doing is not only enough, but it's laying the foundation and the groundwork for greater things to come beyond your wildest imagination.
It was beautiful. It gave me chills because you're right. Like, we are enough right now, and honoring that is a beautiful practice. Katie, thank you for sharing this. I am excited to dive in. Like, another thing, I can go down a long rabbit hole at 10 p.m. at night. But I'm really grateful for you. And you know what? I just want to say, I just want to honor your gentle spirit. I feel that. And it's exactly what I needed this afternoon as I record this. And I hope that everyone who's listening can feel that and also feel that wash over them. So thank you.
Oh my gosh. Thank you so much, Kelly.
Okay, so if you are curious, I want to share with you my own experience. After I interviewed Katie, which was a couple of months ago, she actually sent me a care package of several of these flower essences. And I used them dedicated, I did a little experiment and I used them for about 6 weeks, and I really, really loved them. I had some favorites. My 2 favorites that I used were Inner Knowing, which I used always before I journaled or before I had a client session. And I really feel like it just sort of like gave my intuition just a little, it amped it up just a little bit. And then I was also using Joy Juice. And the only reason I'm not now is that I used it all and I just haven't replenished yet. But she also sent along these aura mists, which are little like perfume, not really perfume, but just sprays that you spray on your face, and it has the flower essence in it. And I've really enjoyed using those as well. And so if you're curious, I definitely think you should take a look at it. You know, what really sort of convinced me was this idea of like, we believe in like essential oils and, the power of herbal medicine. And this is just another extension of that. And I had so much fun with Katie, and I've had so much fun using her essences and knowing that she created them. Like that to me was also very powerful and very special. So I hope that you check out her company, Lotus Way, and learn more about it and take the little flower quiz. It's super fun, and it reveals a lot too. I also want to encourage you that if you are not already, I'd love for you to come on over and follow me on Instagram. I'm at Kelly J. Covert, and I've been doing a lot of work. I've been spending a lot of time on Instagram the past few months because I really feel strongly about creating a community where we can have conversations about perfectionism and about overachieving and about learning how to rest and about learning how to love ourselves right where we are without comparison and all of the things that go into that, and particularly how all of those things intersect with being an entrepreneur, because being an entrepreneur for me has been a powerful journey and experience, and I feel called more and more to support women who are on that same journey. And so all of the themes are the same, but we're just talking about them sort of in the light of entrepreneurship and particularly of motherhood. So if that sounds like something that you're interested in, I want to invite you to come join the conversation, come join the community that I'm creating over on Instagram. And I would love to connect with you there. You can shoot me a DM. Let me know who you are. Let me know how you came to be listening to Inner Voice. And I'd love to just get to know you a little bit better. So that's over on Instagram. I'm at Kelly J. Covert. I'm going to put a link in the show notes for you. So you can click right on over and hit follow and let me know that you're there. Remember this, you matter. What you are doing in this world matters. You are here for a reason. And it's up to you to believe in that and to act on that belief. I want you to know more than anything, you are worthy.